Guys, I am back with another video that I have been really excited to make. I finally got my Keychron V1. It got delayed, but here it is. I'm really impatient, so like a 3-day delay seems like an eternity. But I decided to get the one without the knob because I am cheap. And I also picked up 2 different types of switches. I decided to try Jaywick T1s and Keychron KS9 Pro Browns because I like light tactiles. I was really curious to see if these improve upon just the old regular KS9s because I really hated those a lot. They sound pretty terrible. Okay, the camera angle keeps changing on me. This setup is awful and I need to change it, but we're gonna have to make this work for now. Okay, let's take a look at the cable. I like that it's straight. This is just your classic straight USB-C cable. It's braided. It's USB-C to USB-C, but comes with the adapter. Y'all have seen this before. I can see this getting lost, but honestly, I'm not going to remove that from the cable. And I'm not even going to use this cable. What else do we get? Alright, so we get extra screws. We get a little Allen key and a tiny Phillips head screwdriver in here. I didn't know that came with it. Then we have a terrible switch puller and an acceptable keycap puller. I'm going to note that a $25, $30 keyboard came with a better keycap and switch puller, that being the I Love B i61. I still use this thing. So that's a little disappointing, but like I don't care. I have so many of those things anyways. Quick start guide. They say they won't replace the whole keyboard, only the defective parts. That's kind of a shame. And then it has your reminder on how to install switches in a hot swap keyboard. Alright, here we go. Wrapped nicely, of course. And yeah, this does feel heavier than I would expect it to. That was correct. You got the really weirdly lubed Keychron screw and stabs, smoky black case. Even though this is so barely see-through that I like this. I was really hoping it wouldn't be like the KVD67 Lite transparent black, because that's not even black, it's gray. This is about what I expected. Okay, here we are, the box is out of the way. One thing I did just think of is that the switch puller that it comes with is kind of unacceptable because nobody's going to be able to really use that to replace, what was it, 82 switches in here. Another thing I'm noticing is this is like, the front is really low. Like, what if I do this? What is this like? Yeah, so these feet offer some nice angles actually. I like how low the front is here. Yeah, this isn't flat, but it's very close without the feet. Yeah, we'll have to see. I'm gonna use MT3 on here. I wanted to use Cherry Profile, but that's not happening. Yeah, so let me grab a couple bags of switches. I want to take a quick look at these. Alright, so we have Jaywick T1s, Keychron Pro Browns. I'm gonna take a look at these Browns, even though I don't think I'm using them for this build. Oh, yeah, that is... Holy frick, that is lubed. Still has the same leaf noise, but it's minimized because there is just a glob of lube in these. Yep, these KS9 tops, they have changed because they're shinier. They have made them even more transparent somehow. This isn't going to show up in video, I'm not even going to try. But the same leaf noise is still there, which is really disappointing because I like the feeling of Browns. These are just KS9s with a ton of lube globbed in them, which is kind of a shame, but at least they're going to sound nice, I think. That leaf noise isn't nearly as noticeable as in stock KS9s, but an issue's an issue. Alright, now for the Jaywicks, I'm trying not to get my hopes up because I've not seen a single person who owns the Jaywick T1s use them stock, which I'm planning to. Alright, let's see. They feel nice, they're smooth. Yeah, again, leaf noise, but that's like all tactiles have that. So there's this, these aren't having spring pain. It's just the leaves that are noisy. But these feel nice. Yeah. I'm gonna plug this in real quick just to see if it works because of the situation here with this package. What is that light in there? Oh, is that a reset button? That's cool. Yep, bright RGB. It seems like it works. Now let me put some switches in here and grab my MT3 set. I'm either just going to cut it or time-lapse it because it's going to take a while. Okay. So here's the build. I've been testing this out a little bit, and I really like this. I obviously didn't do anything to it. I just threw in some switches, threw on these keycaps, and this is really close to perfect for me stock, I want to say. Except the stabilizers on here are acceptable stock. There is some weirdness I hear sometimes when using this, and I chalk that up to the switches. I didn't entirely expect these to be all that consistent because JWIC's tactiles at that. Even regular JWK Duroc tactiles of all kinds, they're inconsistent. So, yeah, but these are better stock than, say, Duroc Light tactiles, which are basically like a T1, but it's a different stem sort of a thing, like similar construction. These are better stock switches than those, I think. Even though those are a tiny bit factory lubed as well. Yeah, this is pretty fantastic. This is like on par, in my opinion, with something like the NK87 Entry Edition, and I got that on clearance, and it was still more expensive than this because you can get this as cheap as $64 bare bones, but you're gonna pay shipping no matter where it's from, unless you pay over $100 or have an order of over $100 on Divinity, because then you get free US shipping, which I did, which is why I bought a couple different types of switches. So 64 bucks is the cheapest you can get at bare bones. Obviously I got the one without a knob because I wanted to save a little bit of money, but yeah, just the fact that this compares, in my opinion, to an NK87. Don't get me wrong, I still love my NK87 Entry Edition, but the thing is, that is so much more expensive, especially considering if we compare them retail to retail. Like I said, I got the NK87 on even more of a clearance than its original clearance price. I think it's $135 retail, and then it went on clearance for a good while at $95. And then they're desperate to get rid of them, the batch one, so it went down to $75 before shipping, and there is still Atomic Purple in stock, and it's been 2 or 3 months that those have been in stock. Now the thing is, MT3 keycaps dominate the sound of the board you put it on. My NK87 Entry Edition sounds drastically different, like it picks up a lot of the sound of like MT3. It does its own thing, and this is kind of the case here, though there is some like different character of this keyboard as well. With this configuration, it sounds roomy but not hollow, which is weird because if we look at the side, you can see the silicone. There's no room in the case. Now it is a steel plate though, and these keycaps are high profile, so yeah, I would attribute it to that. I really like the stock sound on this. I might be getting a little bit of ping in some areas, but again, I chalk that up to the switches because a lot of them have leaf tick. I really want to try the KS9 Pros in here, but I want to save those for a different board. I kind of, when I got those and remembered that I can get an MK870 on sale, I kind of want to save those for an MK870, the KS9 Pro Browns, because that's a keyboard that's been on my radar for a long time, and I'd love to make a video on that too. Not really a whole lot else to say on this keyboard. It's a great value, it really is, but realistically, all in, if we take this at retail price and not talking about the BOGO for these keycaps, it would be almost like $200. Yeah, a little over $200 for this. Like in the ballpark of $210 or so without shipping, from what I remember the prices of everything being. But if you do buy one get one free for MT3, that would bring it down significantly. Yeah, so it would be around, if you take this at the BOGO price for MT3, there's 60 bucks a set, give or take. So yeah, around 150 bucks for this build. This is insane. Back when I joined the hobby, $150 got you a mediocre GK61 build or an off-the-shelf keyboard, from what I really remember, or a really, really cheap KVD fans build, like with a soldered PCB, basic plastic case, maybe a polycarbonate plate or plateless, and then some just basic clip-in stabilizers. I don't even know if they sell the actual cherry clip-ins there. So yeah, $150 in late 2019, early 2020 to $150 now. Thinking of it like that, this is a really great entry point. Now, with that being said, my friend wanted to get into keyboards, and I led him to a KV67 Lite. That's also great. That build was around over $200. Like, he knew what he was getting. I tried to be as objective as possible, but the reason I did recommend a KV67 Lite is because I have one. Like, I know it's a good board. And back when it was released, I would say a full send on the retail price of around $130. Now that this exists, it's not the same. It's a tray mount, steel plate, instead of a gasket mounted with polycarbonate plate. But yeah, I really love what Keychron has here. And if you spend $10 extra, you get the knob, which is probably neat. I don't need a knob. I control my volume through my audio interface or whatever I have plugged in. You could reprogram that knob, but I have no idea to what extent. I just realized my camera was in frame a little bit, wasn't it? Alright, oh well. We're gonna have to deal with that, huh? Essentially, I'd say if you want to get into the hobby, this is a great way to do it if you're smart about it. Don't just go for a blind buy ever when starting in keyboards like I did. Do your research and know what you're getting. But like, I would say this is like, as far as like a more blind buy would go, you don't really know what you like. I think this is great because the stabilizers, like I said, are very acceptable stock, and they're screw-ins. It's a hot swap PCB. It is self-facing LEDs with RGB, so if you're looking for shine-through keycaps, that's not really going to happen because they're designed for the LEDs to be in front of the switch, and you know, because the legends are near the top of the keycaps. So that's something you have to keep in mind when getting into this. Another thing is that the switches go in relatively easily. Like, the plate tolerances are on the loose side, which is a good thing because it's a lot easier to put them in without taking the board apart. Now, really, you should be testing your PCB before even putting switches in usually, but like, I was pretty confident in this one, and luckily mine was okay. Again, you still have to make sure the pins are straight. Like, oh perfect, this one's bent. Let me see if I can show this. You can kind of see that one of those pins is bent. It's blurry, but yeah, you can't be putting in switches with bent pins. You have to straighten them out. It's just basic stuff, and it tells you that in the stuff that comes with the keyboard, the little documentation. But as far as putting switches in, you do still need force, but like, it doesn't, they usually don't like hard snap into the plate. Like, they just slide in with some resistance, but it's nice because you don't feel like you're gonna break the hot swap sockets when putting these in, which in my opinion is kind of an underrated thing as far as like a keyboard like this that's aimed at people just wanting to get into it and throw stuff together like I just did. As far as the build experience, if you can even call this a build at this point, it's easy. Anybody can do it. You just put in switches, put on keycaps, boom, you're good. Now, if you can get the pre-built version of this keyboard, I don't know if it's anywhere besides Keychron's site because you're going to pay heavy shipping on that. It'll come out to be a little, I think, a little bit cheaper after Keychron shipping even than getting your own stuff. I have a feeling the pre-built version of this is an absolute banger. If they had this kind of a pre-built, like imagine they had this at like Best Buy and you could just go pick it up. That would be the best keyboard in the whole building, hands down. Because you're getting Gateron Pro switches and their keycaps, you either love them or hate them. They're not the best, but they're certainly not the worst. Like, very usable. And I mean, a lot of people end up replacing keycaps anyways just because it's a fun thing to do. But yeah, thanks for watching, and here's the sound test.